And welcome into the Bulldog Blitz. I'm Garrett Mathangani, joined in by Anniston head coach Eddie Bullock. And coach, you guys got a nice win on Friday night. It was senior night last game at home. Beat St. Clair County, which is a strong team heading into this game. And talk about everything that went through, your general thoughts, and being able to kind of get over that hump and be able to execute and win.
Well, we lost 3 in a row, and we was just glad to kind of get a win on our belt. We knew we was going against a tough St. Clair County team,
right.
Very athletic, and we just wanted to get off to a good start and try to minimize the mistakes, keep the game close, and give ourselves a chance at a victory.
All season long we've been talking about whether it's execution, whether it's experience. Are you starting to see some of these things start to blend together a little bit?
Well, you see it a little bit, but we still making some of the same mistakes. This particular game, we didn't block as well on the offensive line, which has been one of our strong points so far this season, and we kind of fell back into that early season mode again, but we were able to capitalize on some big plays and get ourselves out of hole, which was good for the guys, a good confidence builder.
You always talk about wanting to build each week and wanting to get better, each game. What are some of the things you've seen tangibly from I say like mid-season up until this point?
Well, we were able to get the defense lined up a little bit better. We still made a few mistakes, and we were able to get them lined up a little bit better. And we were able to do a little bit better at the passing game. Earlier we had trouble with the passing game, and I thought we were going to have trouble with it some because the first pass we threw was a pick. And, just kind of get them on track and kind of give them that confidence booster. You have a young team, and, you made mistakes and you've been so close. You want to try to do as much positive things as you can and try to get them over the hump. So that's part of it.
St. Clair County was one of the teams like Moody, like Hayden, like Mortimer Jordan, that you didn't play very often. There's not a long history there. You didn't know exactly how they would match up. For those that weren't at the game, talk about how they were on the field. Size, speed, what was their strong suits?
Well, when you saw St. Clair County on the field, it seems like they wasn't as good as they were. But when I saw St. Clair County, they looked just like Lincoln. They had 2 or 3 guys that were extremely fast, and then up front, offensively and defensively, they were very big. And then on the defensive side of football, they were very aggressive. They come downhill, and they make mistakes, but, they make mistakes wide open. And, that kind of had me a little eerie about playing them, because, you see them on film, when they click and they hard to beat, and, when they off. So, I was just hoping for them to have an off night and for us to have an on night, and we were able to put it together.
Senior night was Friday night. Your senior guys were able to, get on the field with their parents and be able to celebrate their last game at Mosby Memorial Stadium. The atmosphere is always, passionate whenever you're dealing with seniors playing their final game at home. Just talk about some of these 12th graders you have.
Well, it's just kind of a sentimental feeling. Every year, at one point or another, you're going to be going through the senior kind of festivities, and you just kind of miss it, because some of the guys, you've been with them for, this will be the 4th year, and some of them are fairly new, but anytime you're losing guys, that you've been around, you kind of miss them, and it's kind of a sentimental moment right there, but you have to get through that and then try to get focused on the game.
One of the things about this team is very young, and not a lot of seniors, and a lot of younger, a lot of, I guess, guys that are coming up. What are some of the things that these seniors have provided to those guys?
Well, they were pretty disciplined as far as, working out and, attending meetings and things like that. We didn't have quite as much leadership as I wanted to have. With the group being a little bit smaller, you would have expected a lot more leadership out of them. But overall, it was a pretty good senior class. And, I was glad to coach most of them for the most part were 4-year players. And, just glad to coach them, but we had a good time and pretty good run with some of them.
Absolutely. Capped off senior night with a big win, 26-14 over St. Clair County. We'll have highlights of the first half coming up next right here on the Bulldog Blitz. We're back with the Bulldog Blitz first half highlights of Anderson's game against St. Clair County. Coach, talk about some of the things you wanted to see early on.
Well, we wanted to try to establish the run game against them just as we did against Moody, but we started off kind of slow. We actually won the toss, and we elected to receive the ball, and we got in and got a good drive together, but we ended up making a few mistakes and having to punt the football. And right here you can see they once we punted it to them, they kind of got in their drive, and right there they got a fortunate bounce. The quarterback fumbled the football and it bounced right up to them. It should have been a tackle for a loss, but they ended up getting the first down off of the drive. And we actually pretty much held them in traded field positions in the first quarter. You can see the score was 0-0. And right here they were running the quarterback trap. They kept putting their stacked eye to the weak side, and they would run the quarterback trap back to the strong side, and they were kicking out the end, and young linebacker was not plugging the gap, and they were getting pretty good yardage on it. We still making some young mistakes. We were making tackles and slinging guys forward and things like that, and they put together a drive right here, and we got missed the line a couple of times on this particular drive, and they kind of walked in the end zone. So, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot, and we came back here and had a couple of situations here, and right here, quarterback should have been throwing the hitch route on the outside or the flare because cornerbacks was bailing out, but he went for the home run, and as you can see, the result was a pick. And you always have those flashbacks and think that you're going back to the same situation, but right here, we were able to get to the quarterback. We thought we had a fumble right there. Actually, the second play in a row, we thought we had a fumble, and we actually came up with the football on this one. And right there, you see my freshman quarterback. I wanted to make sure I got him in and let him kind of get his feet wet, and he's running his own read. And we had a pretty decent drive right there, but we ended up stalling out and couldn't get anything going, so we came back. And right here, of course, you see we got a good rush, and did main outside containment on the right side, a young defensive end, and we almost gave up a first down there. Right here is 2-minute drill. We should have been getting outside because we didn't have any timeouts. About 14 seconds left, and we wanted to try to get 2 plays in. We wanted to get the quick hitch and then try to go for the end zone, but of course we made another young mistake. We stayed in bounds and didn't have enough time to spike the football, so as a result, we went in at halftime down 7-0.
7-0 is your halftime score, like you said, Coach. Were there any things that, we always talk about adjustments at halftime that you saw differently, maybe something that you saw, that maybe a matchup that you saw that, hey, this could work in the second half? Well,
we had to. We couldn't run the football like we typically wanted to. Last week we had established a good running game, and that in turn sets up the passing game, but we just kept missing a block here or there. We wasn't getting up to the Mike linebacker, so basically at halftime, I just drew up on the board and told the guys, hey, we're going to go to the spread. See a mismatch I think we can exploit, and that's what we did the second half.
They were one of the teams heading in, like you said, they were kind of like Lincoln. They have a strong quarterback, and that really kind of sets the tone for their offense, whether it's throwing the ball or running the football. Was their speed, especially him, was it a little bit faster you thought? Was it just about as fast as you thought? Because I saw that there was a lot of times you were respecting the run and doing a pretty good job with it.
Well, they had excellent speed. There's no doubt when we looked at them on film, I believe they got 3 or 4 players probably just as fast as the guys that Lincoln had. So we had to respect the speed because one mistake and you're giving up a big play. So, we had to respect the quarterback, of course, to number 2. I don't know any of them names. And, number 12 and number 25.
Right.
They had excellent speed. So, we had to kind of respect that and try to contain those guys.
7-0 was the score at halftime. 26-14 was your final score. There's this something about this team at halftime where all season long it seems like they always play better in the third and fourth quarters.
Well, I think that's part of being young. Once you go out in the first half of the game, you have your confidence issues. That plays a big part in it. And then the other part is, just getting over pregame jitters, and knowing what you're supposed to do. And I don't know if they go out there and press or if they're just pressing too hard in the first half. But, that's been a trend all season. We go in and we usually get behind, and even the games that we lost earlier, we basically lost those games in the first quarter.
Right.
And once we got settled in, we pretty much either played equal or outplayed the opponent. And, you wish you could have those first quarters back or those touchdowns back, but it's part of being young, and, there's no excuse, but, it's just part of the growing pains when you're trying to teach young guys how to play football.
You always said this team goes as the offensive line goes.
Right.
You see some improvement there, especially in the passing game?
The offensive line has made tremendous improvement, but, for some odd reason, we just, we couldn't get our blocking schemes together this particular game. And it's, our counter got on them pretty hard because it was like, we follow y'all lead, and, one of them asked me in the locker room, Coach, why can't we run the football? And I told him, I said, we're not blocking anybody. We're just not blocking anybody. And I mean, when you play good teams or teams that are aggressive, you're not going to get any yardage, or you're not going to establish a run game unless you can block somebody.
Absolutely. Score 26 points in the second half to close out and get a big win at home on senior night. You will see that coming up in the second half highlights. But first, the Anderson High School marching band, the seniors performing for the last time at home as well. Not just the football team, but the band as well. Take a listen. Welcome back to the Bulldog Blitz second half highlights. And Coach, you get a big play on special teams to start the second half.
We've been working on special teams for about the last 4 years. Some reason we just hadn't got our kick coverage quite like we wanted. And of course, you can see us come out here. They forced a big turnover, and we came out right here and we went to double doubles. We went to the zone read and got pretty good yardage on it. And once we got them spread it out, we popped back in the eye right there, and you see L.J. Hurd got a great push down there, and then we came back and ran a quick slant. DeMonte Miller scored on it, so of course you've seen the score tied at 7-7, and we came back out right here. They were trying to get the quarterback out on the edge, but we already had worked on practice about containing the quarterback and keeping him in the box. Right there you can see we got close to the punt. Actually should have blocked it, but bad technique. We didn't lay out for the punt block like we should have, and we've been on DeMonte about basically getting good returns and not letting the ball bounce. And right there, he tried to make something happen. And right here, we got a mismatch on the outside. The cornerback was bailing out. And on the hitch routes, he would come down pretty hard and couldn't change direction. So we kind of gave him a pump fake there, and we were actually able to score and go ahead. And we came back here and had a good drive going right here. And you can see we had about 5 or 6 guys to wrap him up, but we wasn't fundamentally sound and didn't make the tackle. So we come right back and give up a touchdown and let them go ahead. It's almost like we relaxed, and that's part of being young. And so now we down again, and we got a pretty decent kick return right here with L.J. Hurd. Right here, we run an inside post on the guy. He started playing outside leverage and playing deep, and they didn't have anybody in the middle of the field. So we just had him change that route a little bit, instead of outside releasing, we had him release on the inside. He was able to beat the guy. That was no bracket coverage. So Dobbins made a great throw right here, and of course you can see once again linebackers bailing out, and they run a little quarterback trap up in there, and it's kind of hard to keep them disciplined, to stay where they supposed to stay. And we started kind of putting it together right there. We had third down and long, and defensive end didn't maintain outside containment, and so I see it. Basically, here we go again. So we actually got them down. They got down inside the 5-yard line. They were on the actually about the 1-inch line for 3 plays, and we were able to get a great goal line stand. And we came right here, and I just told them it was big on big. We had to power the ball out. So, a couple of good plays. We got the ball up to midfield, and they start selling out. They start putting 11 guys in the box. and we had 2 downs to go. So right there, I wanted to see if we couldn't sucker them into coming down and give them a little play action and coming down, and they bid on it and just told Dobbins to make basically a long handoff to DeMonte Miller, so he scored on the last one. And right there, they threw a desperation pass at the end, and Bulldog intercepted the ball to kind of seal the deal for us, but you always worried. We were up 20-14, and even though we had the football, we last week we were up 14-7 on Moody.
Right.
And, in 2 minutes we gave up 2 touchdowns.
Right.
So,
right.
You're always a little bit shaky. So right there I wanted to try to put them in the best possible position. So I knew I had 2 downs, so I wanted to take a shot at the end zone. But I knew I had to bait them in with the play action, and I actually got them to come in, and it worked out pretty good. We were able, and once we got 2 touchdown lead with 1:07 left, I could kind of relax a little bit.
Exactly. You always talk about wanting to run the football to set up the pass. It seems like almost in this game, you pass the football and you set up the run.
Right. We had to, because we kept, I have a sophomore center, and we kept not getting up to the second level to the Mike linebacker. And, they Mike linebacker was a pretty smart guy. Wasn't that fast, but he was very smart. And, that's all you have to do. It's a game of angles, and he was taking the right angles, and, he was stuffing us for 1 or 2 yard gains, and 2 or 3 of those you punting the football, and so we couldn't establish a run game, so I had to try to spread him out and see if I couldn't isolate him in the box by himself, so that I could take a chance on my guy beating him.
Absolutely. Just a quick look at the highlights. You saw that there was one matchup in particular that worked out pretty well, and whether it was alignment and execution at the same time, you were able to get DeMonte Miller sometimes to the short side of the field, sometimes to the far side of the field, and be able to use his abilities as a guy that can beat you one-on-one to make those plays on those double moves. Talk about that play, that matchup, and what you saw there.
Well, they kind of, I noticed the cornerback earlier in the first half, he was giving him a 10 or 12 yard cushion, and even 8 yards, but at the snap of the football, he was bailing out.
Right.
And since we wasn't running the football that well, I felt like we could get him some quick throws, and if we got him to him, I could bait him into coming up. And we got him to come up on a couple of them, which we didn't show in the highlights, but he came down here pretty fast on it. So once we seen that, we knew that, our athleticism against him, I felt like we just had to match up. So, we gave him a choice route. He could run the hitch, and if the cornerback came down hard, he just changed it into a go. And, it actually worked 3 times.
Yeah, and 3 times all for touchdowns in the big win over St. Clair County last Friday night. Coming up this Friday night, it's another big game against a team that Anniston knows very well. It's the Alexandria Valley Cubs to close out the region part of the regular season. We'll talk about that game and much more next. And we're back here on the Bulldog Blitz. Game 7 is in the books. Game 8 now is against an opponent, like we said before the break, that you all know really well, the Alexandria Valley Cubs. It's one of those where I could just ask you about Alexandria, and you know Coach Tucker really well. You've both coached in this area for a long time, and just talk about what the Valley Cubs present as far as tradition and this year.
Well, they're a tough team physically, mentally, and it's always a big rivalry for us to play Alexandria, so close. We pretty much been playing each other for about the last 6 years. So, they know me, I know them. So, it's not a whole lot of scheming into what you're doing. It's just motivating you guys to do the assignments that they need to do. He basically runs the same scheme that he ran before, and I pretty much do the same thing. So, there's not a whole lot of strategizing when it comes to it. It's about motivating you guys to play for 4 quarters and be physical and play hard.
They're one of the teams that moved up with you all from Class 4A into Class 5A. Talk about that dynamic of it, because like you said, the schools are so close, the kids know each other, and these communities are close as far as you see each other around a lot. Talk about just the closeness of it, and then also mixing that in with the football and other sports as well.
Well, it's actually a welcome sight, because like you mentioned earlier, most of the teams, the Moody, the Haydens, and Mortimer Jordans, we hadn't played them. We played Moody a few years back, but it's been a long time ago, and that was only maybe a couple of games. But, when you play your local teams, first of all, you're going to have a big crowd regardless of what the records are. And
right.
Because of just the rivalry there. And then the kids are pumped up because, the communities are so close together. And it's good for the community, and it's basically good for both schools. So we look forward to playing that game, and playing any local games around.
Absolutely. As we shoot this today, it's early in the week, so you probably haven't seen a breakdown, a ton of film on them. But talk about what you know about them initially as you head into this one, some of the things that they do well on the field.
Well, they're very aggressive, big team up front, and offensive line, defensive line are very aggressive, and outside linebackers, I watched them play earlier. And the outside linebackers are very, very good at setting the edge, coming downhill. And those are just qualities that you have to have, in order to be a good football team. I think they kind of ran into some of the things that we did earlier, with team being up and down, the peaks and valleys. But they did a little bit better than we did.
Right.
A lot of the games they were supposed to take care of, they did. And we didn't. So, we trying to get there, to that level, and I'm hoping that with us playing them that emotionally, that side will pick us up a little bit more where we can kind of balance out things.
Absolutely. You play them at Death Valley, and the craziest thing about this team is you always seem to play so well away from home, on the road, and I guess it's more of like they take it more of a business trip, and it's more focused. And I'm sure, with a team that you've known so long and you've been there so many times, there won't be any kind of newness to going out there.
It's not. We've been there before, and it's ironic because the last two games we played, we actually beat them out there, and then they came back to Anderson and they beat us at home last year. So, it's nothing new. They familiar with us and we familiar with them. It's a tough place to win in, but if you don't go out there focused, then you'll get your socks blown off out there. So you got to be ready to play. I mean, because they're going to be pumped up, and, if you don't want to get embarrassed, you better be focused and ready to play.
As we close this point of the season, is there certain ways that you want to see as far as building? Because we talked about how young this team was, and we celebrated the seniors. We'll continue to celebrate them until they play their final game. But is there a certain amount of future, like the way you view this game and the way you view the final game of the season, being able to use this now as a springboard into 2015?
Well, you want to play hard, and you always want the momentum to carry over into the next season, and into the spring actually when you start up, and you want to go out and you don't want to just sell out and play guys and not try to go after the win.
Right.
You want to try to go after the win, and that's the thing we want to do. We want to try to do the same things and accomplish the same goals that we set earlier, but we want to be able to mix guys in so they can actually get that varsity experience.
Right. One of the things that you always talk about is being able to get better at certain aspects of the game. Talk about some of the things you want to see whenever you roll the tape on Anderson, Alexandria next week and say, hey, we improved from the Moody game and from St. Clair to today.
Well, a little bit better blocking on the offensive line. Want to be a little bit more physical, and want to be able to run the football. We that's one of our fortes is being able to run the football, and we've had games where we were able to run it, and we've had games where we've been shut out. And it's easy to go to there and just start flinging the ball all over the field, but you want to have some kind of organization to it, and we want to be able to run the football and then pick and choose the spots where we throw the football and get in ISOs where you're more effective because you got the defense guessing then.
Absolutely. The Anderson Bulldogs will go for their second straight win against a rivalry and a big region game, and the Alexandria Valley Cubs go over to Lucille Stadium. Call it Death Valley, place that Anderson knows well, place that Alexandria knows well. Two old foes, two region rivals going at it in the final region game of the regular season. That is it for this week's Bulldog Blitz. We'll see you next week. We'll break down the Bulldogs and the Valley Cubs from Lucille Stadium. See you next week.